Let's go ahead and bring this meeting to order.
Good morning.
Let's go ahead and bring this meeting to order. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tom Regan. I'm the chair of the Royal Oak Area Democratic Club. The other officers in the club, starting with Michael, could you just introduce yourself?
Michael Sash, Vice Chair.
Michael James, Secretary.
And Deb is our treasurer. She's sitting over there at that table. And speaking of Deb, if you'd like to pay your next year's dues now, you can do that. She's collecting dues today. We have a thing where if this is your first time at a meeting or your first time here in a long time, we invite you to stand up and introduce yourself and tell us why you came. I said, we got a judicial candidate here. Why don't you introduce yourself first?
Good morning, everyone.
Look at my close to your mouth.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Attorney Monica Sanford. I'm running for the Oakland County Circuit Court Judge position in 2024. I have grown up in Oakland County, been here since the 6th grade. I've raised my kids here in Oakland County. I've practiced in Oakland County. I have practiced in the criminal, the family, and the probate in Oakland County. And so I have dedicated my life to working in Oakland County. I've worked for the juvenile drug court program where I was the attorney assigned, and I did that for over 10 years. I just stepped down so I could run because it was at the nighttime. I believe that in Oakland County, we need equal access for all people. I believe that there is a public health crisis, and I am a social worker. I have a master's in social work. I worked for the Department of Human Health and Services before I became a lawyer. And so I see a lot of people that come into the system that need services. And so I'm committed to being one of those judges who treats everyone with dignity and respect and try to find good solutions for them and provide resources and services instead of just trying to be, sometimes we can be very judgmental and we can be very harsh in how we treat people. And I believe we need someone that can treat people with dignity and respect. I am trying to get my signatures. Anyone who is willing to sign my petition, I would greatly appreciate that. And your name again? Monica Sanford. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what district was that? What position?
Oakland County Circuit Court.
Okay.
I don't think it is. It's Oakland County Circuit Court. Judge McMillan is retiring next year.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So anybody else, if it's your first time here or your first time here in a long time, we invite you to introduce yourself. But I'm gonna let Mary Ann Fontana go because she's with the Oakland County Democratic Party and working on 2 different campaigns. Mary Ann Fontana.
Hi, everybody. How are you? So yeah, first of all, I'm the vice chair of the newly named Democratic South Oakland County, which was formerly our county. So anyhow, just to give you a little bit more about my background, so I am currently the vice chair of the Democratic South Oakland County, which includes the cities of Oak Park, Huntington Woods, Royal Oak Township, and newly announced just this week, Berkeley's Democratic Club will also be joining us. So that's so I actually have a couple of things here. The name, I'll get into the name later, but anyhow, I did happen to bring, if anybody wants to take one of these copies of the Citizens Guide. This has my Regina Weiss on it, who happens to also cover part of Royal Oak. And Natalie Price, I see, is here, who also covers part of Royal Oak. But I'll leave these here somewhere if you want to take one, or I don't know what places here. Yeah, I mean, they're handy if you want to, first of all, just be able to contact your own personal state rep or state senator. They publish these every 2 years because, you know, there's new members that join every 2 years. Every 2 years they're elected, so it's a good guide to have. So let me get to the main reason that I'm here. There is an organization called Equal Means Equal, about the Equal Rights Amendment. And as many of you know, the Equal Rights Amendment was first introduced in 1923. Was the whole idea was that everyone has equal rights under the Constitution. And at that time, women couldn't even vote, so that was why the whole initiative started. But the idea was to have an amendment, I think the 19th Amendment to the added to the Constitution. Now it's had a long journey. It's been stopped because they needed to have 2/3 of the states in the Union actually ratified in their state constitution. That took until 1920. Virginia was the last state that they needed to make that threshold. However, they had put some barriers around it.
Mary Ann, go ahead and jump right to the point. I don't
Yeah,
think we have a lot of debate about ERA.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
So
you can jump right.
basically, what we are doing is we have created these postcards that say, open your heart to equality this holiday season. Everyone deserves equal rights and protection in the Constitution, including women, girls, and LGBTQ people. Published the ERA today. And that is the whole thing, is to tell President Biden, these postcards that are addressed to President Biden, please publish the ERA. So there's a little suggestion for you to write on the back of the postcard. If anybody's interested in participating, pass out postcards. If you want to fill them out while you're here, I will take them and mail them for you. Or if you want to take some for yourself and for some friends, we can do that also. So I'll be here for the whole meeting, and let me know. And, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and pass them around, that's fine. But if you're in favor of the ERA, which I'm assuming most of us are, go ahead and sign one of these postcards for President Biden. Yeah, get something done that should have been done decades ago. I'm sorry, I do not know why our microphone is not working, so I'm just gonna try talking about very loud. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll project. So if this is your first time here or your first time here in a long time, we invite you to stand up and introduce yourself and tell us when you came. Not required, but if there's anybody else, your first time here or your first time here in a long time, go ahead. Good loud voice.
Hi, my name is Irene Leeds. I'm relatively new to Royal, but I've lived in Ferndale for the last 9 years, and I'm from the Detroit area. I work with a group called Conversations on Race. I know some people from the club were here. We're at a meeting a week ago, and it was really good. And I invite you all to consider finding out more about it. You can find us on Facebook, Conversations on Race, and you can talk to me. Thank you.
Anybody else, your first time here or first time here in a long time? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Natalie, and now I'm sort of new to the area. I actually worked on the election, not the last one, but the one before. Anyway, I just wanted to come and check out.
Well, welcome, Sally.
Yeah.
Anybody else, your first time here or first time here in a long time, like to introduce yourself? They're elected officials. Okay, let's go right to our guest speaker, Joey Spano. Mike James, do you want to set up the TV for Joey?
The video is at the end of this.
Oh, okay.
So
Joey Spano with the Open Hands Food Pantry. I'll let Joey take over. You'll have to talk really loud.
If you want that, we can stay.
What are we doing?
So I'll
Just pass them around? Oh, wow. What?
I know. Hard.
Oh.
Okay, thank you, Tom. I'll try to speak in my love meeting voice. Thank you for inviting me here this morning. Good to hear everybody. I just want to say it's a good thing with the Democrats, but the other party I thought would be here.
Oh, it's serious.
It's funny, on your agenda, it says that, Open Hands Food Pantry started in that, and actually, I wasn't, reading that. That's how we started, they're very small project. We're going to, I think, now, one of our, we're looking at that model. And, we started, this is a very small food distribution operation. Now, people at that time donated food, and we were distributing to a few families. Now, today, we're still calling it the basement of the church. And we have a garden, I'll get into that a little bit. And we really go to the high and community for the basement. with the total, we have a lot of money on the read. Tax debt, so we can donate, we have tax write off. Our time of operation of the first and third Saturday morning of the month, and 9 to 10:30, and the drive through the pantry. And again, started this morning to the farmers market, and we get cars lined up everywhere. So we really grown, and I'll say a little bit about that later. Participants receive emergency food for a few days, including meat, bread, produce from our garden, some toiletries, as well as the gift for food package. Not perishable goods. So we are run by over 100 volunteers, completely volunteers. And we have several volunteer coordinators. We manage the operation, order our food, oversee the on-site distribution, food several volunteers in a group. And really the programmatic vision and strategy of our organization is managed by the board of directors. I serve on that board of directors, and I'm president coordinator of public relations. So the pay isn't that great, but as I said, it's all volunteer, but it's been very good work. So packaging is done on Fridays before and Saturday distributions. We have a team of volunteers in the station of the service. And we have small, medium, and large size bags depending on the size of the family. So one day we'll have breakfast items, cereal, peanut butter, and so the second bag we'll have dinner items, canned tuna, canned chicken, soup, vegetables, pasta, kind of items. Most food is ordered and purchased between us because we get those prices there. And in addition to our dried and canned goods that we work with, we also sometimes buy salads and vegetables, sometimes cabbage, we have watermelon and some of the largest. Sometimes we have fresh fruits and fill potatoes, and we were able to Chuck a brand purchase freezers. We kind of operate out of our garage. People drive through, and it's cold that during COVID actually continue to operate. People waiting to drive through, come through the parking lot, and have a garage there, they load them up, and then they drive around, and we were able to give them some. Okay. Hello. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, and I mentioned the freezers. We have a couple of freezers that we were able to purchase through grants. And so we're able to store limited space. We're able to store some frozen meat, chicken, ground turkey. Beef is really too expensive for us to purchase. So, but people are very grateful when we have some frozen foods for them, at least the meat. We're also able to provide them with some, I would say bread. Bread is donated, and there's also brown berry bread somebody donates, and there's a group, a Jewish women's group who bake homemade bread and sometimes bring that in, which is a real treat to people. So, and we're also able to distribute hygiene products, which are great. Toilet paper, and feminine hygiene products, greatly needed to kind of items when we get those. So, okay, a few years ago, we built some raised beds on dirt ground, and then also built a food house. It was kind of tough getting that through the Royal Road City Commission, but we much perseverance, with much perseverance, we were able to build that small one. But it is phenomenal. It is just, I was there on Thursday, we're kind of cleaning up, things are winding down now. But we're able to grow veggies in there, mostly greens, lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard, which is great, kale, and some other greens, and we are able to cut that, harvest, package it, and then into our distribution base. So we really put an emphasis on nutrition, so we're not fresh mac and cheese, thing. So and people so appreciate to have fresh lettuce in summer and into the fall. So that is really what guys, and it's been very successful for us. Last year, 2022, we served close to 21,000 individuals. Kind of hard to believe. The need has increased through COVID, even after COVID. This year, we're on track probably to get pretty close to 22,000 individuals. And again, a significant increase. You don't think people in our community are in need of food, but they are in need of food. Sometimes it's just temporary, sometimes it's more long term. So we don't ask any questions, come through, they are given the bags of food. I mentioned we purchased freezers with a grant from the Village Club in Willow Hills. Some people might know that organization. And what we were doing, since everything was in the basement of the church, we were having literally to all the cleaners would come in their truck and deliver the food. We had to literally physically haul things down into the basement, package it, and then on distribution days haul them up. We do have a lot of volunteers, but that stuff is heavy and cheating. So last year we partnered with a company out of Warren, what's the name? It's Industrial. And they provided a video belt for the cost of them. It was pretty expensive. I think it was about $20,000. And now we're able to retrofit the window in the church basement, and we put it in a concrete pad. And now we're able to take the down cases of food down into the food protection, and then on distribution day, we can bring them up on the conveyor belt. So it's pretty cool. We're very, very grateful for that. So that's pretty much how we exist. The funding, most of our funding comes from individual donations. We like to grants, family trust, fundraisers sponsored by credit unions, banks, and other organizations. Just to name a few, Herzog is very generous to us every year. We donate several $1,000 to the connected. I mentioned the Village Club, the Corvette Club during the Green Food, small group of Corvette Warriors. I guess Corvette Warriors are one day club. Really, very, very, very grateful to them. And then there's a group out of New York City, called Broadway Cares. I think there are some actors in the our area, and they donate, they do a little fundraising, and donate less than a year. Just this year, it's our second year with our credit union in Royal, and so we may be members, and they have raised the money every Thanksgiving for food pantry. Their members donated money and by food back. A great part of the we have is the Woodward Corner Market. Anybody familiar with that 13 Woodward? It's a great store, and it is Meyer store, but they have named Open Hands Food Pantry as their only partner. And what we have is you come into the store and they have what you see on the register. Okay, and you scan this, it's all coded to some food pantry, and you donate $10, and then Meyer matches that with another $10. So your donation costs $20, and that's also the. However, there are also double match fees, they come through, you scan your card $10, turn it into magically $30. And Meyer matches that. And then, so that goes into gift cards, and then we're able to go to Meyer and then buy only food. We can't buy whatever reason, picture products, that but we're able to buy food. And that has been a great source of funding for us. And Meyer has been very generous. And they do this around the state, but we're going to be the only food pantry here in Northern City. So when you go to those, please try to support the rules for the marketing. When you go there, kind of pay attention to this, and if you want to donate, it's great. Okay. I meant the double match day. Oh, if you Saturday, December 16th is double match day. So if you're shopping there, I might be there saying hello to you and kind of pushing our a little bit. Yeah, well, we start that out. Go ahead, cut down. Well, it's now. So it's kind of fun that we're able to talk with people who are interested in food pantry. If they want to volunteer, be part of that, but at least give us more exposure to it, not just the donations, but people know what we're doing. So, one thing I want to mention is a lot of people ask us, in groups ask us, can we do a food drive for you? And we used to do accept food drive, but here's the problem with food drive. People give canned stuff that's expired, dented, stuff that we can't use, can't all different kinds of things. So it doesn't really work for us. Really what's more effective is hardcore care, truly. That goes so much further, we can buy what we need, we're not throwing anything out, we've got a lot of involvement, and we're organized, and we're canned goods. And like I said, people just clean out the canned goods when they have a food drive. And, you know, we're not gonna do anybody else. So in this case, yeah, we'd much rather have you donate your time for your money. So, and also, I did distribute or like the content for those, posters. And there is, you can go online, you can go on to our website, and you can make a donation if you like, this time of year, what you appreciate it. That information is in there, definitely a little bit more about what we're doing. I think I can not better than what that and you know, we do encourage participation of volunteers, and we have our neighbors, many of our parishioners that involve Open Hands, but not all of them, in the outside world. We have several people that are, you know, gardeners, and they come and help with our raised bed and pool house. Like I said, I was there on Thursday, it was RC and cleanup. We had some people up inside the area. So if you are interested in being volunteering, you can sign up. You go on our website, you can sign up for volunteers there. And even if you want to help, you know, one day a month, we can always do that for people. So I have a little 3-minute video, but are there any questions at all?
Yes, I'm curious about if you go to the general since you mentioned that. What are the other hundreds doing? That's when I live in a different city, I was very involved with food rescue. And we got
Hello.
And they have that on plastic for it in the children. And then the whole chain where I went. We took it directly from the TV. And it was typically looking at food banks, rollers and things like that. And also there's a small information catering services that in the food, which we could take directly to different, you know, children. So what's the deal with grocery stores? Why aren't they doing that?
You know, I don't know. Kroger is starting to do a little something, email came through the other day, and there's a couple kind of operations, but Meyer has really been our best partner.
They're giving you cash and they're giving you food, right?
They're giving us gift cards,
Yes.
and then you go to Meyer and buy food. So it does, you know, it does the money.
It helps their bottom line.
It does, it helps our bottom line too. But it would justify it. I mean,
But you don't have any grocery stores that actually give you food.
no.
Yep, got the table right there.
I'm going, I don't have to go to a local store.
Judicial can't
Let them show you.
When they make a motion?
When I look
Oh, there'll be an opportunity for you to speak.
Okay.
So he'll, yeah, check in, and then they'll let you do it.
We've got artists.
Yeah.
It's what they ask me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have a chalkboard right as you walk out, it talks about how much food they donate. And in fact, if they have one cracked egg and it doesn't add, that doesn't will be donated. They had it at this trader thing.
See, some of that is difficult work because our operation again only twice a month, and we don't have, as you mentioned, need to have people that will deliver food to places. So it's really that twice a month distribution setup that we have. But it's certainly worth after the prison goes. If we can get not perishable goods, that would be great.
And they also get a perishable, there are a lot of meat in the middle, a lot of their.
If you do that, so we go out and
Even flowers.
oh. Thank you for that.
You know, on a couple different Facebook sites that are for Royal Oak, there are often people who will say, I'm having a hard time, I need help, groceries, or food, or something else. And can you be very explicit about like what it is? You know, if someone wanted to say, hey, you can go here for food, Can you explain exactly what that looks like so we can,
Just first and third Saturdays of the month, starting at 9, 7 stuff actually. But 9 to 10:30, they can come through the parking lot and, all we ask is, we don't really keep track, because we feel if anybody comes through, so we don't question anybody, truly, we just ask, what we'd like to know is, where they live informally, and the number of people that meet. That's pretty much all we're asking. So first and third Saturdays of the month at St. John's Parking Lot. And we have, I can remember, it was just a few years ago, we might have had 65, 70 cars come to the park. Now we have 200. When they're backed up on the, on 11 Mile Road, it's mad at us, but we do what we can. But this morning when I went by, like I said, it's one of the market, we had 4 rows in the parking lot. And that was at, probably 48, 7:45.
and what's in a package like this?
Well, two packages, they have a breakfast, and we have small, medium, large, depending on how many people in the family. So we have a breakfast bag, which we have cereal, canned fruit in there, and some other breakfast items. And then for the dinner items, we would have pasta, tuna, canned chicken, beans, some other canned vegetables. And then when that's those are the dry goods, and then when they drive through, they'll get that package when they drive through by the garage, and that's when we're able to give them fresh veggies or greens and anything frozen that we have, which would be, like I said, ground turkey, and sometimes beef. We can't usually do, like I said, it's too expensive. But chicken, packages of chicken, ground turkey, and then they get their bread there too, and some other things maybe that.
Thank you.
Have been donated. But yes, please have them come through. We can accommodate them.
Well, Good Shepherd is full of their food pantry, didn't they?
Good
Because
Shepherd.
they moved, yeah, Good Shepherd over on Campbell.
Oh,
Just like that.
they have small camping.
Yeah, they have.
Okay.
Once a
Yeah.
month.
I don't know.
They moved to Austin, the church is combined.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, we've just seen it grow. It's just seen it grow. And I think we do a pretty good job with our fresh stuff and our lettuce from our garden. And like I said, we try to give them nutritious food, more nutritious food. So I think the word's gotten around that we're just a pretty good pantry too. So, but, that's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is that there are people still in great need of help and assistance. So, so we do what we can. Happily, during COVID, there was so much of an emphasis on what food insecurity, I guess that was kind of a term that use food insecurity. And our donations really increased, individual donations really went up, and a lot of those people kind of stayed with us. So that really has helped us. Like our budget used to be very, very small now. I mean, it's not great, but we're at a healthy amount where we can continue to buy food from cleaners and continue to provide, for people. So,
We better get to your video.
the video. And I've got some of these cards too, if anybody's got a few if you are interested in, you just go and you scan it, and they've got them at the store too.
I'm taking the video. Did anybody want to make a motion about open hands?
I suggest that I'll make a $200 donation for the holidays for.
Motion on the floor to make a $200 donation, seconded. Any discussion about donating $200 to open hands? All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please vote.
different places. We have a group that brings us and some of the marriage. We have another group they bring us juice, there's also organized juice. Usually we get our little vegetables from leaders. And then products our guys and soap.
So get our deliveries from the leaders. So in the morning, leaders will come from just mostly non-perishables. We also get frozen protein and fresh vegetables
It's
like
okay.
potatoes or cabbage. We bring it into the building via conveyor belts, and then we distribute it with the various stations behind me. We have a number of baggers that come in, that varies just during the day and bag up for all of the anticipated for the next day delivery. We have 4 people helping us a little bit leaders, and we have probably various shifts, probably 10 to 15 other people coming in today. So we get primarily ultra products and leaders. We also have a partnership with miners, they get a program. So that's our biggest partnership is with Miner. And then we also have a partnership with Best Industrial who provided us with a payer to help us move the product from outside to the inside operation. Spirit of all volunteers, the paid cause, and for that they need to, I feel like we got a little big family here. Fighting the community.
You know, you start to get to know people and you realize they're fine.
Thank you, Joey Spano, for taking time out of your day.
Thank you, Tom, for being flexible. I do have to run, unfortunately. I was going to show up and sit in the audience at Mallory Memorial's community coverage this morning over at the Berkeley Library. But unfortunately, Mallory isn't feeling great this morning. We all hope she gets better. And I'm gonna go and fill in and do a legislative update. So if anybody of you are looking for something to do after this, Berkeley Library, Rep. White's and I will be over there doing a legislative update. And of course, Mallory Memorial staff will be there to connect with her. So what's going on? For those of you who don't know, I'm Sarah here in Royal. My district, the 5th House district, includes half of it is Northwest Detroit. Renaissance High School is right in the middle. I go from 8 miles down to 96, roughly cheaper to Southfield. And then the other half of my district is Oakland County, with right at Greenfield Road. So the little bit of Royal Oak that I have identifies as just Shepherdly Hills Royal Oak. So if you are nodding yes, I have a constituent here. One piece Royal Oak, and then half of Beverly Hills, and then half of Berkeley, like a little more than half of Oak Park. I have most of Birmingham, a little bit of Winfield Township, 1 precinct in Southfield. So like little bits of all the communities. So what am I doing right now? I'm sure many of you have heard that we are on a legislative break. We adjourned early, sine die, so that the tax changes that we made in the Democratic track record will go into effect for this coming season. So if you have been paying a retirement tax, it will be phased in, but we have gotten rid of a lot of the pension and retirement taxes for folks.
Yes.
Yeah. We also extended the earnings on tax credit, which is the closest we can do to a fair, equitable tax system, giving the folks, close to their needed greater tax credit, increase that to 30%. So we did not get immediate effect on that in the Senate. We didn't make, the Republicans didn't support those tax decreases, which their messaging is very hard to understand. But because of that, we had to adjourn early so that 90 days could pass and then those tax credits could go into effect. You also probably have heard that sadly, technically, we don't have a trifecta right now, right? 2 of our state representatives won their mayoral races. So now we have 54 Democrats and 54 Republicans in the state house. What does that mean? Well, we still have the gap. We agreed to rules early on that whatever party was in the majority would continue to have the gavel, which has a lot of power procedurally until the other party has the majority. So as long as the Republicans show in both of those mayoral races, we do not anticipate, we're not worried about losing the gap. But we are just technically unable to do very much because the Republicans have made it very clear that they won't support things, even things that their constituents clearly want, if that would be perceived as a Democratic thing. So what do we need to do? We need to support the Democrats in those 2 mayoral races. The special election will be April 16th. And then if we can get those Democratic seats back, we'll be able to go back to getting all the good work done that we all want to get done. Things we've done that I'm really proud of. Oh gosh, I don't have enough time, but just last week, the governor signed our Reproductive Health Act. I was a sponsor of one of those bills that took what you all supported and voted, Prop 3, making sure that we have accessible, affordable, safe, legal access to abortion care, and made that better. Was it perfect? No, we still have some work to do, and we won't be able to do that work until we get our majority to expand the bill. But very proud of what we were able to accomplish there. Governor Whitmer just signed clean energy standards that will get us, again, good progress moving toward our clean energy future. We did great efforts to have bills that would support ending or reducing gun violence. Yes, and I know that we've got a lot of activists here, and again, like, yes, those of us from strong gun seats, we very much want to do more. We'll need to expand the majority in order to do it. So my ask of you, right, is to keep doing what you're doing, showing up, getting out the vote, getting people registered, helping us expand our majority so we can not go back on these great things we were able to accomplish and continue to move forward with our values. It's nice to be in a down room where I can speak really openly about the political stuff. As we're looking at this next election season, all eyes nationally are on Michigan. We are setting the tone for what can happen if we give Democrats the reins, and that's very threatening to the Republicans. We also have a very dysfunctional Republican state party, so people are just going around them and dumping money nationally right into the Republican House races. So we need our Dems to step up in ways that we've never asked for before, to protect our majority, expand our majority, and to make it so that nationally Republicans can't say, oh, well, look, that was just a fluke. We deserve to take that somehow. So as these races are coming up in 2024, please just keep up the momentum, grab a friend or neighbor, bring them out to the club meeting, ask some questions to these great activists, and how you can step up and be most effective. And we're so grateful for all that you do. I told my staff I would tell you I have my own community conversation coming up. Keeping track of my own calendar is a new challenge, but it's Monday, December 18th from 5:30 to 6:30. And I'm doing that at the Mathis Center in Detroit. It's not far. We have this weird idea. This is just about a half mile south of Green, Augustine Field of Thailand. So, 15-minute drive, come out to the Methodist Center, Speaker Kate is gonna be my special guest. So he'll be able to talk from leadership perspective, and I know some of you as activists are trying to get in front of our House leaders. So this is really, we'll come on out and help me spare that, we're very royal up down this space. We can take questions, but if you have any email, phone call, Facebook, always here, just not.
During the day. I didn't catch the time.
Same day as holiday.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a Democratic Party votes.
I did not see him.
Democratic Party organization. Let's go right to the city election report on my case. And I'm sorry, the microphone is not working. I don't know why. It's working for a few minutes and it makes sense. Oh, use your outside voice.
I'll use my outside voice. So about 8 months ago, you all did something to change the future. You endorsed Monica and Becca for city commission. And even though it's not partisan race, we endorsed them. We did something more than 40 of you spent 7 months straight contributing the time you had when you had it to collect signatures for these candidates, door knock, donate, distribute signs, and most importantly, talk to your neighbors, your friends, and even strangers to tell them how important this local election is. Local election that we usually forget about because it's a small local election. So what was the result? On the micro level, each person you reached out to and talked with, you swayed with, you changed their perspective about the election. On the cumulative result, Mike, Monica, Becca, and Amanda got 50% more votes than the people they were running against. And let me tell you a secret. Democrats don't have 50% more votes in this city to win these elections like that. It's because you talk to independents and people on the other side. And that's extremely important. We played a big role in it. Other people played a big role in it. So we can be proud of our role and what we accomplished. Let me just say one thing. Without this win, if we didn't have Mike and Mike Renee as mayor, or we wanted to let seats on the city commission, the library, would we have a library where you go read the books that you want to read? Would we have a civil rights commission? Would we have road repairs? Would they begin to start falling apart again like they did in the past decades? Would we have support for the police? Would we be able to give them a safe work environment like we did? They're working in a place that, quite frankly, in my opinion, was loaded with asbestos. It was bad for them. Now they're working in a place that is not loaded with asbestos. It's good for them. We have equipment for our fire workers. And listening to the other candidates and what they wanted to do, not only did they want to cut taxes dramatically, but they kept talking about things that were going to cost us a fortune. With the other team, we might have had a huge budget deficit, in my opinion, based on what you were saying during the debate. So, in the end, thanks to all these incredible volunteers on the board and the general manager, the time we put in, I know sometimes you say, oh, I need to put it up. No, everybody putting in some had a huge effect. And in 2025, let's try to do this one.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Mike James organized all our volunteers all year long from the club to do the petition gathering and the door knocking and so on, and he did an excellent job. The second. Well, if you're an elected official and you'd like to get a report, come on up and do so now. Be sure to use your outside voice. Monica and Amanda, for the city commission. We got recently re-elected City Commissioner Monica Hunt and new City Commissioner Amanda Herzog.
Morning.
Thank you all for all of your support, your time, your money. We appreciate that, and helping us get elected. When we were before you last meeting, we were, letting you know we're at the stretch, or the final stretch of our campaign. And at that time, it seemed a little, I was good for that. We weren't quite sure. The doors were knocking on, many were favorable, but there were some that didn't like anything else happening. You talk to some of those stories, you would think we were living in a worse city. But we know better. We know that we're living in a we have amazing residents, we have amazing leaders, and that we're going to be able to continue some of the things that we're doing. But it's because of you all that we were able to maintain the position that we have on the commission. And really thank you to Mike James, because you organized this entire campaign season. You were out, I think we probably did because you were out every single weekend. And yeah, if you're ever thinking you didn't do enough, that is not the case, because if you talk to one person, you probably swayed one person into either voting for us or voting in general. We had, I think it was a 30% turnout rate for voting, for voters, which seems low, but it was the highest since I think 2018.
Wow.
The format will be county board script. So
Wow.
thank you all for that. As it relates to the city commission report, we're ending the year, so things are a little bit slow right now, but I do want to make you all aware that we have a number of openings on our committees. Actually quite a few openings. So if you're interested in getting involved, wanting to be a part of making some change in the city, on the website, there are these committees that need volunteers. We have a crime prevention committee that needs policy or review. Whatever you have an interest in, we have a committee or awards, there's an opening on it. And the great thing is, Amanda, myself, and Brandon Polo will be meeting the middle of this month to place those individuals in those committees. So get your applications in now, hopefully by Monday, and we'll be able to take a look and put some really good people in some really good positions. Any questions?
How does someone get one of those application forms?
Go on the website, romi.gov, ROMI.gov. And on the front page, there is a banner that says, click here for the applications. And you apply. It's not extensive. It may take maybe 5 or 6 minutes to apply. We'll get an email saying so-and-so has applied to this committee or for this committee seat, and we review. And if it's during the middle of this month, we'll review all of the applications, and hopefully soon thereafter, you'll get an email from us saying congratulations. We're nominating. And then it has to be approved by the city commission, but typically those. It depends on the group that, or the committee that you're seeking. So for instance, there are some committees that meet monthly. There are some that meet, quarterly. For instance, I mentioned crime prevention before. Charlie over here just joined that group. That meets maybe 45 minutes to an hour every month. And we just talk about, ways that we can help make our community safe, how we can work with our police department, and create programs to educate our residents on safety. There are some that are a bit more procedural, like charter review, with have to actually take time to review some of our city ordinances and charter sections to or whether or not they should be changed. So that takes a little bit more time and probably less fun. So it just
And the EAP has to, and we meet, or they meet monthly, about 2 hours, we're not, not quicker.
But we also do a lot of activities outside of, and a lot of research and stuff outside of the.
EAP stands for?
The Environmental Advisory Board, sorry.
But once you go on the website and take a look at the committees, then they'll give you a general idea of when the committees meet and what goes into being a member of that. Thank you.
I also want to thank everyone for their support, like James, for dedicating like every weekend from April to the election, in helping us. It's overwhelming, the amount of support, even just saying something positive to us during the campaign. You're so nerve wracking. Like, are you doing enough? And just getting that little dem hug of like, we're doing it. So I want to thank you. We did it. It wasn't just me or Monica or Megan and Becca. It was all of us. We all did this together. I'm on day 5 of the job, so there's a lot that I'm still learning. But I've been through 2 orientations, and I've read them. But there's more I'm learning along the way. So just bear with me. But one thing that happened between our last meeting is that we hired a sustainability manager.
Yes.
And she is going to have an event this Tuesday at the North End Tap Room from 5 to 7. And she just wanted to introduce herself to the community. A lot of the environmental work that we want to do in the city is going to need the buy-in of the residents. We're going to have to do things to our homes. And there's going to be a lot of engagement with residents. So she wants to start building this relationship with us. So if you're interested in learning more about who she is, what she's planning for the city and for us, come out for and then one last thing is, we were all sworn in on Monday, and we're all excited to get going, but we also said goodbye to Commissioner Kowalkowski and it was just a very lovely send-off. Kyle had some wonderful words, and he has put our city on this really progressive. There's so many accomplishments that were made in his 12 years. So I would, if you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's posted. And to see all the things that wonderful things that he did for our city.
There's a lot of people, young kids who are involved in sustainability efforts, and maybe there could be something thought about that it's not at a place where you have to be a 21 or above to meet the sustainability standards like that. Because I know even the young middle school, they're probably high school, Holland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So just something like that, so the young people can touch it. I don't know if the North End actively.
Right. And we have, the beach names are part of the environmental advisory report, and they came to our meeting, but we definitely need to.
Yeah.
But my understanding goes to the North End County, yeah, we did that.
They can, oh, good, thank you.
Amanda, what time is that starting?
It's 5 to 7, December, Tuesday, right?
I forgot to mention, during or after the election, and we were trying to ask for a recount. There was a recount that was requested by our opponents. I know some of you are aware of that, but just to quash any confusion, it was simply as to proposal, the second proposal as it relates to ranked choice voting. It was not related to the election of any of the commissioners or the mayor. I think that would have been a foolish recount considering the margin that we won by, and I don't think that there's any chance of proposal being turned over or overturned because there was no fraud as they're indicating. This is just another way to throw some question into whether or not there was an accurate fraud-free election. So just because we're getting the question, does this affect the makeup of the commission?
And it's gearing up for 20.
Absolutely.
We
Cheese on.
Sorry for being late. Good morning, but I'm a little sniffly, so I'm not, thinking about this collection. But anyway, I just wanted to, I don't know if everyone's like sharing, so I just wanted to thank everybody for the support, and have a beautiful swearing in on, what was that, Monday? The city, that I thought was really great experience. We're continuing that over the next couple of weeks, learning a lot, and just really where I know that people don't know that we're really excited to jump into this role and kind of do the thing for them. So, just really want to stop by and just thank you all, since this is the first post-election. I'm really grateful for everything you all did for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca Chief. We're at the part of the agenda, calendar and new business. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, we have my commission was stretched out, lost. Okay.
Everybody just hooked up to I think the reason of this usually about the drive and allow people that are good candidates for driver's license to get in the process of taking the written road test. It's House Bill 5103, and I'm happy to put that up through the House.
Yay.
The hope is that the Senate will take it up and do there, and they go there and pass it hopefully here quickly. It's got support from the Secretary of State, which is like huge. So we're really excited about that. And the other thing I wanted to say is that we're in the process of planning an open house at the district court. We can come in and kind of meet the judges and meet the employees, clerks, probation officers, or whatever they have. Probably not in December. I think we're looking more towards the beginning of February. The initial date was December, but I think that was kind of so, probably the beginning of February. Keep that in mind. Right? Thank you.
We're moving too fast. I missed some candidates and some elected officials. We have a school board member here, Lauren Jasinski. So Lauren, let's hear from school board member Lauren Jasinski.
Right. We've got the school district has a ton of events coming up in January, so I just wanted to put a few things on your radar. Believe it or not, we're already planning for our MLK Day celebrations. This is an event we're really, really proud of. We've partnered with Berkeley Public Schools for the last 5 or 6 years, I think. And the event actually bounces back and forth between our districts. And so it's really low here to host this event. So even if you don't have students in the district, we're still always looking for volunteers and people to walk with us and people to participate. That is on Monday, January 15th. It's going to be at Roms, the middle school. There's a whole bunch more details on both the city website and the school district website. But it's a really excellent day. We do like a short little march, and then there's a day of service that follows, where there's a couple different activities for students to participate in. We do some like food and personal hygiene drives and sorting and things like that. So it's just a really excellent day, and I invite everybody to show up for that with us. On January 18th in the evening, we're having our first ever, what we're calling a family opportunity fair. This is just to like break open, I think, some transparency about some of the services that the district offers. Everything from transportation services, aftercare discussions, some of our tutoring options, some resources for clubs and services and things like that, that I think are going to be really great. On January 29th, if anybody is curious, we're going to have a social work professional come in and do a presentation for the district and for families about the impacts of social media on young people. This is an issue that's really near and dear to my heart, because we talk so much about mental health of young people, but we really can't ever really break down why we're having such a drastic crisis and an uptick in really pretty serious mental health concerns of our young people. And I do think that social media, for better or worse, is here to stay. So we have to figure out the way to incorporate it safely into our lives and how to talk to young people about that. And then, if you or anyone you know has, a student that's going to be in kindergarten next, school year, January 31st is our kindergarten information night for all 6 of our elementary schools. So it's happening. I know, my goodness is right. It's happening. The school year is ticking along. I did mention last month that we did hire for our, diversity, equity, inclusion coordinator. We're really excited to welcome Ashley Phillips. She's a music classroom teacher from the Berkeley Public School District, and we're really excited to have her. And she's already hit the ground running. She started on Monday, and she's really getting into it with us. So we're really excited about that too. Questions about school? No, great. Thanks, everybody.
I've skipped over the candidates item on the agenda. If you're a candidate for office and you'd like to say a few words, I know we have a couple of judicial candidates here. Come on up and say a few words about your campaign. We got 2 judicial candidates. Outside voice is our microphone program. Sorry about that.
Good morning, thank you. Good morning, my name is Nicole Huddleston. I currently serve as the managing director at the Detroit Justice Center, where we provide free legal services to returning citizens and court-involved individuals. I am running for Oakland County Circuit Court Judge in 2024. I've dedicated my entire legal career to serving underserved populations, and I've decided to run because I believe in the transformative power of a legal system that is both fair and empathetic. I believe in a judicial system that seeks to rehabilitate rather than punish, and I think that it is really important that we have judges on the bench who work with people, who understand the intricacies of people's lives. I started collecting signatures on November 6th. I am proud to say that I have about 1,800 signatures. The goal is 4,000 valid signatures, which means I'll collect about 8,000 in total. It is my goal over the next year to earn the support of each and every one of you. If you would like to know more information about me or you have questions, I'm happy to answer any of them. Thank you.
How many open seats are there for the open circuit?
So there is currently only 1 open seat. So Judge Phyllis McMillan is retiring, and so there will be 1 open seat on that.
Okay, very good.
So are the 2 of you competing for the same spot?
Yeah.
Are you competing for the same spot? Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you very much.
Despite having a apex predator on my shirt, I come to be. Yeah, Adrienne Young, candidate for Court of Appeals judge. I came and spoke to the club. We were over at the library this summer, and so just right off the bat, I'll get these circulating. These are my nominating petitions because it's the Court of Appeals. So that's for appeals from the circuit court. You just heard from Nicole and Monica about the circuit court. Appeals from the circuit court go to the Court of Appeals. Everyone in Michigan has a constitutional right to appeal. So the caseload is massive. And the court has about 27, 28 judges on it. And they divide us into regions for the election. Our region is all of Oakland County, all of Oakland County, and all of Genesee County. Given the size of that region, I need about 10,000 registered voters to sign my nominating petition. And like I said, I was back here in the summer when we were at the library. So if that rings a bell, you may have already signed, but I'm going to get these circulating while I tell you a little bit about myself. And I, so I'm a member of UAW Local 2200, with my public defender office unionized under the UAW. I represent folks who can't afford counsel in the Court of Appeals and in the Michigan Supreme Court. What that means is all my clients are convicted of felonies or appealing those convictions, and I argue on their behalf in the court that I want to join, and then in the highest court in our state. I've done that for the last 8 years, and before that, I worked on the Michigan Supreme Court. So my experience is entirely in appellate work, and that's what I want to keep doing as your next judge. But there's a couple of important things. The first is that as a public defender, that represents a really unique perspective that's virtually absent from not only the courts in our state, but nationally. You guys may reflect back on the appointment of now Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. Not only was she the first Black woman to ascend to the U.S. Supreme Court, there was a lot of fanfare around her experience as a federal public defender. It was super meaningful for us here doing that work, and that's a perspective that's fully absent from the bench at this point in time. It's important for me to bring that to the bench for a couple of reasons. One, my clients don't pay me and I don't choose them. And so whoever comes through the door, I zealously defend their constitutional rights. And when you hear from judges, you should hear and do hear a lot about treating everyone fairly. And that's requisite for my job. I don't choose people, they don't pay me, but they get the same zealous representation no matter what they've done, which is oftentimes some of the biggest mistakes they've ever made in their life. And so that's been requisite in my career, is to treat everyone, no matter their circumstances, financial or otherwise, equally. And so that fairness is deeply rooted in why I want to be your next Court of Appeals judge. But the other piece is being fearless. As a public defender, you're oftentimes up against a difficult battle, particularly when your clients have already been convicted of a felony. You need appellate court judges who are going to be fearless because they are required to make incredibly difficult decisions. We had one appellate court judge in our state decide whether or not a certain Republican candidate could make it onto the presidential ballot. I don't need to convince this group how weighty the decisions are that appellate courts make. Nationally, of course, we're all well aware, but here in our state as well. So you need someone who's going to be fair, going to be fearless. I promise to be both, but it starts with just getting my name on your ballot. That's the signature process here. And then hopefully you'll see Adrian Young from the nonpartisan section of your 2024 ballot. And just a nod to that, your club and city is incredible at voter education. I think a lot of that's due to your organizing back here, but I was out on election day and the amount of people knew about ranked choice voting, because there were folks out there volunteering, can I tell you about it? And they're like, no, I'm good. And then they'd engage and really tell everybody about that. That's important to me as somebody who wants to be a judge, because the nonpartisan section is sort of like an abyss of not a ton of knowledge for voters. And so I think we have a lot to learn from this group as judicial candidates about educating voters and getting them really invigorated with the nonpartisan section of the ballot and why it matters so much. So not only do I hope to earn your support, I'm really looking forward to learning from you about community organizing and public education. Yeah. So thank you again, Adrian Young, trying to be your next Court of Appeals judge.
Adrian, are there any other candidates I'd like to store? Okay, this is the calendar of new business. So if you have a new business item, in a couple of seconds, I'll ask you to tell us what it is. Any calendar or new business item. The first one I'm going to go through the ones that we have on the agenda. The first one was the bylaw change proposal, and I'm going to let Lauren Jasinski talk about that.
Sure. Do you give a little bit of context? Okay. Okay. So last year, so last year, as I was the outgoing chair, one of the things that had come up in a few of our board meetings was a really kind of obscure part of our bylaws that stipulates that our chair and our vice chair of our club need to be of opposing genders. This was a bylaw that was handed down to us that we adopt our charter and bylaws largely directly from the MVP and the DNC. And I think it was at the time just something, you know, that was in there without a whole lot of thought. Last year, as we went through who was willing to step up and be the board and who was willing to step into executive committee positions, we ended up with a chair and a vice chair who are both men. They've done an incredible job to lead us this year through an obviously really important election. And we had talked as a board last winter and then at the January meeting when we actually elected them to temporarily suspend the rules to agree that we were okay with them both serving as our chair and vice chair. So what I'd like to do today is to offer a permanent amendment to our bylaws to take out that consideration, just so that we don't have to kind of keep having this don't have to keep having this you know, suspension of the rules and changes and conversation. I'd like to do so for a couple of different reasons. It's 2023. I don't really know if we need to identify the gender of our leaders in that kind of a way. And I also think that our leadership, I think the reason that was initially in the bylaws was to represent a variety of voices.
And while I, of course, support women in leadership positions, and I love when women win elections, I think that there's a lot more to representation than just a man and a woman being our chair and vice chair. And I think that we can protect that diversity of opinion in a lot of different ways amongst our club, when we have those volunteers. The other thing is that it's really difficult to get people to step into these positions. And I don't want to discourage anyone who's willing to dedicate all of this free work out of the goodness of their heart, just because we have just men or just women or just non-binary people stepping into those positions. And so I just really think for both of those reasons, it's kind of an obscure, unnecessary thing. So that's like a little bit of the context and background for why we're suggesting this. The change for all of you who just like, I don't know, go home and read the bylaws to yourselves at night. Maybe, in Article 5, subsection 4, the way that it currently reads is the club may elect 2 co-chairs instead of a chair and a vice chair. In either case, the 2 co-chairs or the chair and vice chair shall be of different genders. And so my proposed amendment, if we would like to consider it, would just be striking the second half of that clause. So just saying 2 of our elected officer positions are either going to be a chair and vice chair or 2 co-chairs, and removing the part about gender and in order to be in line with our bylaws, the way that this process works is that we have to have a proposed bylaw amendment out on the floor for 30 days. And so I'm offering this amendment to the club. I think we need to second and vote on it now, right? And then we would actually vote to pass it, or I think I'm just suggesting it right now. And then we'll actually vote and pass it in January ahead of our officer elections at the January meeting. But I'm putting it out there for 30 days of review and discussion.
Lauren, is there anything in the bylaws that talks about the diversity of the board and leadership in general, and not necessarily in terms of gender? Because I think that's the easy route, but if there's something that could be at least maybe not require, but we drive some thoughtfulness as opposed to just automatically.
Yeah, I see what you mean. As of right now, the two sections of our bylaws that talk about officers are just very, I'm just trying to read it real quick. They strictly just explain the rules, that there's 4 elected positions, a chair, vice chair, secretary, and a treasurer, and then it goes on to explain what those 4 positions, do for the club. And then the one under that is this issue about gender. I would be completely open to maybe changing that into some kind of reminder for the club as like, a diversity of opinions will be taken into consideration when electing these officers or something like that, I guess would be appropriate at that time. Yeah.
I think that your proposal, what you suggest to do is the most optimal, because if we start pointing some things that we, anyways, limiting those options for being elected, but if we leave them unmentioned, that it means that it's yes for everyone. So I don't think we need to put any specifics in that. So it would be the best just to leave it open in general. Then it assumes that anyone can do it.
The bylaws are strictly.
The more we mention it, the more problem it becomes. The more we start specifying things, and then it's like creates this opportunity for limitations.
Thank you. Yeah.
I would agree with that, and also the fact is these are elected positions, not appointed positions. So at the end of the day, anyone can run for any position, and the club will vote to install those individuals. So, like to Lauren's point, this is just what positions we have and what those roles as elected would be. And so, like, removing this is not any measure of control over whether or not the club will elect people. The only consequence of the current wording would be that if we successfully elect one chair of one gender, then we cannot consider any of the candidates of the same gender for the co-chair or vice chair position, and either have to leave it vacant or beg somebody of a different gender to step up and run for that position. So it kind of, it all comes down to our election standard as a club versus the bylaws defining who can have what position.
Yeah, and the conversation about interest and qualifications comes with the election in January, right, of the people running, yeah.
I just want to throw this out. I know I'm new to the groups, but I know you are all well aware that the default, the unexploded default tends to be white and male. And so not saying some things isn't saying everybody's welcome. So I really appreciate the idea of, I don't know, stating somehow, I see the bind that the group is in. But I think it's still important to state we need to pay attention to a diversity of experiences and, you know, it doesn't have to say gender or whatever, but it needs to encourage a variety of kinds of representation or the default wins.
And I appreciate, as we stew on this for 30 days, thank you, and that's exactly what I was getting at. Yeah, I appreciate that, kind of the constraints that being super directive and explicit can put on it. I love bylaws and stuff, but so what I would suggest, I don't know if there's a nominating committee, but that's really perhaps if there is a nominating committee or a kind of recruitment committee, that's where a stewardship of diversity of candidates can happen, and that's also a place if there isn't something along those lines to look at it. And I don't know if this is also an opportunity to look at other bylaws of other clubs and see if they address it as well. So that's just a couple of things. Yeah, because I think intentionality, I mean, that's really what the Den part is about, like some intentionality around equitable opportunities and accessibility. And some people might not think of themselves as, oh, I can be the chair, co-chair. It's about intentional, it's about pausing for a moment, it's about inviting people in, it's about having them see themselves as leaders of this person and bringing their perspective. So that's all.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I think the suggestion that a committee of some kind is a great consideration, obviously not something that we can do before January, obviously, but I think in future conversations about bylaws. That's it.
I just want to attest, there's no nominating committee. You are it. And how you guys see things and who steps up to volunteer, which is a key thing. We're short on people stepping up to volunteer, quite frankly. So it's not so much, are we selecting between 8 or 9 candidates? We're selecting, sometimes 3 for 4 seats. And then do we tell number 3 to go away? That's the issue we're facing. As far as nominating committee, there is none. I mean, it's in your hands right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. At the January meeting, when we elect a new chair, we normally have a board that people are free to do, and then usually the leadership of the club comes from people who are active in that board. It's really dangerous to pick an unvetted person as chair. Stand up at a January meeting, I'm really great, I should be chair, and nobody knows, and usually wind up with some kind of nut. I encourage chair from someone who's been actively on the board.
How do you really feel, Tom?
Otherwise you wind up with a nut. I've seen that happen in other organizations. You have one nut running the club and it kills the club.
It's feeling country right there.
Our vice chair, Mike Montana, he's going to run for chair next year, and have a very good overturn. But he's been running our bar night this year. Our next one's going to be Thursday, December 21st, 7 p.m. at the Bend Tavern in Highway 419 South Main. This is all on the agenda, so you can grab that on the way out. If you want to pay next year's dues today, you can do that now. Double take them over there. It's just $10. You can either write a check or else you can use the Square site. Next year, we're going to have a social committee to plan more social events, just to get together. Our Bar Nights under Biden have been extremely well attended. And just looking to do more stuff like that, because it helps build, group solidarity and all that kind of thing. So if you're interested in getting involved in some fashion next year, consider joining the social committee. And then, as I mentioned, at the January meeting, I'll open the meeting, and then I'll just hold the election for chair, and then the chair will take over from there. I know Mike is going to run for chair. He's done an excellent job as vice chair this year. He's been on our board for 7 years. I certainly encourage it. Are there any other calendar or new business items that anybody wants to bring up? Going once, going twice. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
See y'all next month.
I know.